All right, so I want to welcome everybody to our VIP meet and greet. We have Danielle Mudge here, Director of Sales. We have Mike Maas, Executive Producer at KCBS KCal Los Angeles. We have Bryan Johnson, Manager of Captioning and Video Description. My name is Brad Mueller. I'm Manager of Tax Incentives for Paramount Global. I'm also the Director of Creative for VetNet. We're going to go right on into it. Panelists, would you please share what you do at Paramount and what your day-to-day looks like in your roles within the company? And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with Danielle.
My job at Paramount Global is the Director of Sales role for the West region. So I oversee all local and regional sales of our Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, and CBS News and Stations products that we refer to as IQ Local. So I work across all of our local stations with our broadcast sellers, as well as our legacy interactive sellers to reach audiences for our advertisers. So managing a lot of marketing plans and sales solutions that we have across our portfolio of collateral. And Colby probably knows a lot about this considering he's interning in ad sales. But we focus mostly on the streaming side, but I do work heavily in conjunction with the broadcast teams and in conjunction with Michael Maas. He works for KCBS KCal, and that's really my home base for my business is the Los Angeles market within that KCBS KCal family. My day-to-day is really a lot of sales calls, constantly out there pitching our products and also being very much a consultative guide for the streaming environment as it changes and shifts pretty much every other day at this point. So no day ever looks the same. And then I'm also very much in tune with the future of where our products are heading and our sales strategy across the organization.
Danielle, actually, she helps us out a lot whenever we take a lot of our promotional stuff that we do for VetNet, and she gets it out there on all the streaming platforms and commercial spots. So it's fantastic. I mean, you do amazing work for us. We do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and let's go over to Michael Maas over there. How does your day-to-day role in the company, Mike?
So I'm in the one of the creative roles with promos, news, sports, special events. I play it all out. I write it down, come up with the concept, come up with the actual script, and then I run that by the Chargers organization. I run that by our people, and then I just start going. I hire my crew, I hire the talent, I get the props, I do all that kind of stuff. So producing is essentially all of those jobs. And, it starts with the idea and then it just goes from there. So, I dig my job. I've been doing it at CBS for 23 years, just past 23 years. I've been in the business for 41, but my first gig was, running a camera in a studio up in Eugene, Oregon, and just took off from there.
I would just want to say, first and foremost, to everyone, thank you for your service. I'm super appreciative. I'm glad that you're a part of the Paramount community. In terms of my day-to-day, so I am responsible for the planning and implementation of captioning and video description across streaming as well as linear platforms for Paramount. So that also includes protecting our affiliates, making sure that we're FCC compliant with captioning and video description, which is a legal mandate that we're required to have because we're under the auspice of the Federal Communications Commission. So I primarily work in the sports and news arena. I also manage a small team of what we call embeds who work on CBS News programming to make sure that captioning is going forth on our platforms. And that also includes streaming now. One of the things that makes my job more interesting now is that we're working more and more with other brands under the Paramount umbrellas. So we're working with MTV more now. We're working with Nickelodeon. We're also planning for projects that are overseas, and we have a small team of captioners on the Paramount, legacy Paramount side that we're working with as well. So this is definitely more and more a corporate social responsibility type role.
I got to say, each and every one of you, you guys have a very important job within the company. And honestly, nothing can flow without sales. Nothing can flow without the content, the producing, and nothing can go without being legal. So these are all very important. What advice would you give to any of our VIPs or anybody that's pursuing a job in the media industry how to pursue that? How do you get in?
I think a lot of people think that when you're reaching out to individuals that might have a higher title or what have you for informational interviews, that there's a barrier between you and that individual. The reality is that everybody's here to do a job. So even if you feel a little nervous reaching out to somebody that might seem like they have a very elevated role, fake it till you make it, guys. Ultimately, I work with a lot of high up people across agencies and clients all over the West region. I look at each of those individuals just like I look at myself. We're all here to show up and do a job. So don't let, intimidation or nerves get in your way. Tell yourself that one day you're going to be in that role. So my advice is always just to kind of take a deep breath and just go for it.
We all have different paths. I just have my own mottos. I have my own ideas. It used to be, it's who you know. That used to be one of the things. I think it's who knows you. Just kind of revised that. It's just all about following your heart. Learn as much as you can. Nothing's wasted. When I think back on my career, what I really remember most is that a lot of people just didn't want to do anything. People just didn't want to do stuff. And if you're the one that does, things will happen. I love the ancients, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Plato. The ancient philosophers had some great advice, and it's applicable today. And I read one of those every day. There's never a ceiling on the learning. Nobody is at the top of that, even if they have this huge title. One of my favorites is in Latin, it's memento mori. You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say. So it is that idea of you could lose your life today. So let that determine what you do and say and think. This could be the last day you have. So why not embrace it and do it all the way through? Things that we're afraid of, that fear is not real. It's just in our head. So if you want to reach out to somebody, if you want to talk to somebody, if you want to follow somebody around and see what they do, then ask. Worst thing that they can say is no. The important thing for me and what I've learned in my career is I always follow my heart. The pay may not be there or whatever may not be there, but that is irrelevant. I don't do this for the money. If I do what I'm supposed to do, the money always follows. Thank you guys for your service. And, it's really cool that you guys are all here today.
Bryan, what advice do you have to give?
I would first of all say that people need to realize that you're going to evolve. The person you are today is not the person you're going to be in 10 years or 15 years. And what you want to do is you want to look for opportunities that will develop your transferable skill set, because you may not want to do what you're doing right now in 10 years. So you want to find ways that you can transfer your skill set to other roles and opportunities to grow yourself. One of the things that we're really, as a company and as an industry, is really getting into now is data. If you could take a data analytics course or, just something to really help you with that, I think that would really be a real big boost to your career. If you want to find what are the hot trends in the company, read publications. Everyone should be reading Variety. Everyone should be reading The Hollywood Reporter. You should go on Google and follow companies and whatnot, so that every evening you're getting information about what's going on, news stories, articles about what's going on in that company, so you can stay abreast of changes. I think that if you do stuff like that, you'll be ahead of the pack wherever your career takes you.
One of the things that I do recommend is taking risks. I remember when I was transitioning between a support role as a digital sales specialist into a manager role, I did something that people thought I was crazy for doing, and that was moving from Los Angeles to Pittsburgh to manage the Pittsburgh digital sales team. And that kind of shocked and awed everybody. I took a risk because I wanted to get into management and I wanted to take that next step in my career. I'm always very hungry for new opportunities. I get bored after about 2 years on average. So for me, I needed that challenge and that unique environment. Pittsburgh, if any of you guys don't know, is a massive broadcast station. KDKA is one of the hardest hitting news stations in the country. So taking that risk really enabled me to learn a lot. And within a year, I was back in Los Angeles managing the LA team, which is the second strongest news market in the country, but it paid off in spades. And, to this date, I recommend and will always say, take the risk. You're not always going to get the easy route to that position you want. So you might need to make those adjustments and kind of do something that's a little scary. I've taken those risks and it's paid off.
I have a question for Michael. What is the processing for hiring your creatives, such as your crew, the talents, the props? How do you go about that process?
Definitely just utilize the people that we have already worked with. Kind of you get into a groove with the crew you already have established. And I've been working with the same folks primarily for a couple of decades. There's no real formal path, I would say. What do you want to do, Ricky?
I'm interested in learning about pretty much anything of creative side.
Produce, write, direct, edit, shoot.
I'm not sure 100% yet. I'm a sponge as of now.
Fair enough. Okay. At some point, decide and then be that. Just be that. Be that now. Whatever it is, be it now. I'll give you a story. We had a production assistant, in our department. He wanted to be a producer, and we were chatting one day, and he said, "I want to be a producer." And I said, "Well, you've been around me for a while, so you know what I do. Start doing it." And he said, well, what do you mean specifically? And I said, well, write something. So write a spot. And, and then when you're going through the process, just tell everybody what your intention is. I want to get this editor to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Here's what I'm doing. And then show it to the boss. And if it goes on the air, it goes on the air. But that's not the point. The point is the process. Love the process. And he's like, well, so should I write that while I'm sitting at my desk? And I was like, you can write it whenever you want. And then his next question was the thing that canceled him out of becoming a producer. He said, well, am I going to get paid for that? No, you're not. And I told him, you can't be a producer. If you expect to get paid, then that's the wrong motivation. I do this because I love to do it, because it's already inside me. And that's what I do. And like I said before, follow your heart. Do what you're naturally inclined to do, and you can't go wrong. You will not go wrong. So you'll bump into people, you'll get into situations, you'll get into the right niche. When you feel like you're fighting something, just step back from it and look at it and see what is it, why is it that I'm fighting? And one of my other favorite mottos is, what stands in the way becomes the way. So if I'm not getting what I want, I have to step back and look from a different perspective. Then I see it a little bit more clear. Follow your heart and you'll be okay.
I work in sales, so we are asking people for money all the time. We're asking for, different things from our advertisers all the time. I hear no every day. I am of the firm belief that a one-time no is not a lifetime no. Get ready to hear the no, but at the same time, figure out how to work around it.
I was wondering if you've ever changed career paths, or maybe if you haven't, if you always knew that this is where you wanted to end up.
I got my start in television at 17. I started out as a team reporter for the NBC station in my hometown, worked in local news markets. Then I got to the CBS Evening News. So I worked in the last days of Dan Rather. I worked with Bob Schieffer, Katie Couric. And then I transitioned over to the corporate side, in the legal corporate social responsibility sphere. And I would just say to you, really investigate who you are, what difference you want to make in the world, and make sure that whatever job you have, that it aligns with your values, because you want to be happy. You're spending most of your waking hours in a job, and you want to make sure that that aligns with who you are as a person and where you want to go, and just really take the opportunity to network with people. People love sharing their stories. They love helping people and whatnot. Just make it happen.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.